But what is that really after? If the federal government's about the most serious criminal stuff, what's the problem we're really trying to solve with this ethics stuff? I feel that there is a problem that we're trying to solve. And I would describe it as almost the natural clubbiness of Beacon Hill. When we get to know each other very well on Beacon Hill. We're friends among, the legislators get to be very close friends. And there are people from a number of different sectors of society, from business, from labor, from human services, from various issues groups, who make it their business to be part of our conversation. And they're there every day, they're greeting you in the hallway, how you doing, shake your hand, joke about what's going on, and you're not really going to do this to us, are you? And there's an influence there. There's an influence, there's a closeness which is very powerful, right? It's a community. And so I think the challenge for members of the legislature is to be able to always retain the perspective of the communities that they represent, and always serving the people that represent them, as opposed to those people who every day are hanging out in the building to say hello, how you doing, and don't you look great today? Putting some boundaries on that, I think, is what this ethics bill is about. I mean, if those people can not only say how you doing, you look great today, but also buy you lunch, then there are people, legislators, who will say, well, you know what? I'll tell you something. I can take a campaign contribution, and I can take their money, and I can spit in their eye the next day. I honestly can't do that. Which is why I've made the choice to avoid taking lobbyist contributions. It took me some time to get to that feeling that I really wanted to do that, but that is the policy that I've sort of put in place for myself. So I think these new rules, which will reduce that clubbiness or put limits on that clubbiness in a whole variety of ways, and in fact criminalize sort of extreme examples of that clubbiness, extreme examples of gift giving and excess closeness. I think it'll be interesting to see how they play out. I actually believe that we have in place some very strong laws already which the public doesn't really fully take advantage of. I mean, you can look and see right online, tonight when you go home, go to mass.gov/OCPF for Office of Campaign and Political Finance, and you can see every contribution over $50 that any legislator received, and you can see how they're spending their money. And people don't do that. People don't do it to the degree that they might want to if they really cared. It's an interesting question across the state. Those records can be kind of interesting to look at from time to time. So I think what we're doing now is about trying to assure that legislators are always looking back to the people that they represent and focusing on that job. And it'll be interesting to see how it works out